Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome. My name is Randy and I love everything crochet. And if you love everything crochet, you should definitely subscribe and follow my Instagram so you can see more crochet projects. Now, today we'll be making this little bunny. It is a cupcake. My boyfriend says he doesn't look like a cupcake, so you should let me know down below. Does this look like a little bunny cupcake with his little thing? He has a strawberry on his head, he has his little ears. And yes, this was very easy to make, definitely a simple pattern. I think this is a good beginner friendly if you know all the terms of single crochet and all that good stuff. I mean, it's relatively easy. I think this is a perfect project. It does not use a ton of yarn. It does not take a lot of time, and so yeah, I definitely recommend it. I also forgot to mention that he is made with single crochet. I 50-50 forget to include that. So you'll need to be able to do the single crochet for him, and that's all. And you have to sew. I embroidered his eyes, that is optional, but you will have to be able to sew in the ears and the strawberry. But let's go ahead and get started. To start our bunny cupcake, we're going to use some yarn. This is Loops and Thread Sweet Snuggles, I believe the name is, and it's this really pretty peachy coral color. I'm going to use pastels because I think that's perfect for this project, but you can use whatever yarn and whatever colors you want. Just note it might adjust the size. I'm also going to use a 7mm hook because that's my preferred hook size for this. I like to go down a size or two in my hook because it makes my stitches tighter. And we are going to start with our magic ring, or if you're like me and can't do a magic ring, do a starting chain of 4, connect the top and the bottom, pull through, and then we're going to go into our center loops. So I'm going to mark my stitch, but we have magic circle, and we're going to go into that center hole. Let me loosen up some of this yarn too, so I'm not fighting it the whole time. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stitches into that center hole. Now, you want to make sure you do your stitches nice and loose, not too tight, so you don't get a rippled effect here. And next, for our next round here, our second round, we're going to put 2 stitches into every stitch. So I already went into this, so to put 2 stitches into it, I'll go back in, pull my yarn through a second time, go into our second stitch once, and then go back in for a second time. Then our third stitch once, then go right back into that same stitch for a third time. So for this round, last round we had a total of 6 stitches. This round you'll have a total of 12. So we'll just keep doing that all the way around. For our next round, I'm gonna remove our stitch marker real quick, and we're gonna continue to expand. So here's our first stitch, mark that, and then we're gonna do 2 stitches into the first, then I'm gonna do a single stitch into the next, then 2 stitches into the third, and then a single stitch into the fourth, and then 2 stitches into the fifth, and then a single stitch into the sixth. And I'm basically going to do that, repeating all the way around. 2 stitches into the first, then a single stitch, then 2 stitches next, and a single stitch, repeating all the way around. And we are going to expand for one more round because I don't want to make this too big or too small. So we're gonna drop my stitch marker. We're gonna mark our first stitch, and we are still expanding. So I'm gonna do 2 stitches into the first, and then 2 single stitches. So 1 single stitch, then go into the next one for a second one. And then we're gonna double up again. So this would be our fourth loop, do 2 stitches in that, then a single stitch, then a single stitch, then 2 stitches into the next, go back into there for the second, and then 2 single, repeating that all the way around. For the next round, we're just going to put a single stitch in every stitch. So I'll mark my first stitch here. And then we're just gonna go into every loop, putting a single stitch, because we are staying the same. So we're kind of creating the body of our bunny, and we want it nice and compact. So I will let you know exactly how many rounds of this I do, but we'll start with 1, and then I'll let you know how many total. I did 4 rows total of staying the same. So we did the first row together, and then I did 3 more. And now we are going to start reducing, because like I said, I want to keep it small. I don't want to make this too big. I am very bad about making things too big. Also remember, if you are using like smaller yarn, yours will be a lot smaller, so you may want to increase the amount of rows you do. But anyways, we're gonna reduce. So we went through the first loop, then we're going through the second loop, gonna pull through. We're reducing 2 stitches into 1. And then we're gonna do 2 single stitches. We're basically doing the opposite of what we did before. Then go into the first, and go into the second, a loop through both, then pull all the way through, then 2 single stitches, and then loop through the first and the second, then 2 single, repeating all the way around. After that round, we are going to once again reduce. Going to go through the first stitch and the second stitch, pulling through for 1. So 2 stitches reduced into 1. Then a single stitch. Then reduce 2 stitches into 1. Then a single stitch. Then reduce 2 stitches into 1. And then a single stitch, repeating all the way around. And also, because I'm embroidering eyes on it, I actually am going to flip my work. I just like the look of this side of it better. So typically this is like my inside, but honestly, I don't know. I think I might like this better for embroidering on a face. It's up to you which side you like. This feels backwards to me because normally this is my inside row, or how the inside of mine looks, but I'm still deciding. Which would you do to embroider a face? Would you use the outside or the inside of your work? Let me know down below. All right, so I went ahead and stuffed it, and since I'm embroidering the eyes on, I am going to wait till after to do that, but if you are using safety eyes, you'll want to go ahead and do that now as well. And we are just going to continue to reduce. So I'm going to reduce 2 stitches into 1, mark my starting stitch, then reduce 2 stitches into 1. Let me not lose my stitch marker here either, because I've definitely done that plenty. Reduce 2 stitches into 1. And just do that all the way around. And once you get all the way around, you'll want to just cut and pull your yarn through. And then you'll take a needle, yarn needle, crochet needle, whatever these are called, and force your yarn through here. If you're like me, you'll struggle a bit to get it. There we go. And then we're just going to take out our stitch marker so we don't lose it to the plush, and we're just going to weave our piece shut here. I like to kind of weave it around, get a nice tight thing, and you kind of have an egg, which I also think is perfect for right now. I'm gonna add the face last because I do want to see how high up I'm going to make the little cupcake liner, but I'm gonna go ahead and make the ears. Actually, I will do the ears, the cupcake liner, the face, and then the little cherry on top. So there's my process for anyone who's curious, but we'll do the ears next. We will go ahead and make the ears. Now we're just going to do something super simple for them, and then we will attach them. I made them a little bigger because when I made it one size smaller, it didn't give as much bunny looks as I was hoping. So you want to leave a small little tail here. And then we are going to do a starting chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And 5. And then we're not going to go into our first loop, but our second loop. So basically the 4th stitch. We are going to do 4 single crochet stitches all the way down to the very end, and then you have an ear. And I did the 5 because you can skip that top one and you kind of get that curved look to it. And I'm gonna kind of separate them out so you can see the cherry in the middle. So that's just a thought as well. So we'll pull this yarn through, and basically you'll just want to take your yarn needle and sew it on wherever your heart desires, like so. Isn't that so cute how it kind of naturally like fell over? I love that. Okay, so that's like our cupcake. And now we are going to make the like, not wrapper, the little paper a cupcake goes in. It's slipping my mind right now what the proper name is, but we are once again going to start with a magic ring or chain 4 attached together and make a circle. And I'm using this really pretty minty blue color. And we are once again going to do a start. We're going to go into the center circle and do 6 stitches. I definitely think that once again this would be best to use the same type of yarn. You don't have to use the same yarn I'm using in this, but I recommend using the same yarn you use for the cupcake part, even though I will say you would add like a lot of like great like texture look to it if you used like acrylic yarn and then plush yarn. That's up to you, but I think just for ease, definitely easier to maintain the same type here. And like with the body of the cupcake, we are going to expand by putting 2 stitches into every stitch to start. So we should have 12 stitches. So we'll just go back in to the same stitch every time for a second time till we make it all the way around. Now, because we need it to be big enough for the cupcake to sit down in it, we're going to keep expanding. This time we are going to do 2 stitches into the first. So we got 1, then 2, and then a single stitch into the next, then 2 stitches into the following stitch, then a single stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around. We are going to keep expanding like we did with the cupcake. 2 stitches in the first, then 2 single stitches, then 2 stitches into the next, then 1 single stitch, then another single stitch, repeating all the way around. And for this last round of expanding, you'll put 2 stitches in the first, then 1, 2, 3 single stitches, then 2 stitches in the next, then 1, 2, 3 single, repeating all the way around, because right now where we're at is as wide as the cupcake is, and we want it to be wider where we can secure the bunny in there. After the last round, we are going to just put a single stitch in every stitch. So here's our first stitch, and then just a single stitch in every stitch all the way around, And we're either gonna do this for 2 or 3 rounds. We'll see how it looks after the second one, but let's start with the first. So we'll do this all the way around. I ended up doing 3 rounds of staying the same, and now I'm gonna pull my yarn through, and the little cupcake liner, thought of the name, the cupcake liner is done. I wanna do the face, and then we'll do the cherry on top, and we'll be done. I still need to make the face on my bunny, so I'm just gonna do a really simple bunny face. I'm also using brown because I figured that brown would be kind of nice where it'll look a little bit like chocolate or something compared to the black. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm just going to do a nice simple face because I like a nice simple face on a bunny. So I did the simple X, nose, and mouth. I like that for bunnies. I think it's super easy. Then I kind of lined up slightly over to the side from the mouth, and I'm just doing the eyes where I do 2 in. I'm going to pull them through and tie, oops, took it out of his little wrapper. Pull it through, and I'm going to tie it off, and there's the little bunny face. Now, once we have our face, we kind of need to make it look a little bit more cupcake-esque, which I feel like is where the cherry comes in. Now, I don't think I've ever had a cupcake with a cherry on it. Granted, I'm not a big fan of cherries in general, so that might explain it, but I feel like you see it portrayed a lot in like cartoons and drawings, so that's why we're doing it. Now, I am just using a acrylic yarn. This is in a color called Cherry Red, so it is perfect. And once again, I am going to do a magic ring. And like before, we're going to go into our center stitch here, untangle my yarn, and do work into that. And I think we'll do 6 stitches. I think that's what will fit in here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And once again, we're going to expand. So we're going to remove our stitch marker, go into our first, put our stitch marker back. We're going to double up in every stitch, so 2 stitches into the first, 2 stitches into the next, 2 stitches into the next. So you'll have 12 single crochet stitches all the way around. And now, because we don't want our cherry to be too big, I am just going to do a single stitch in every stitch. We are about to the size we want to be. And we will just do our single stitch in every stitch all the way around. And then we are going to go around one more time with a single crochet stitch in every stitch. So just put a single one in every stitch to try and round out our cherry. Now, it's definitely optional to stuff it with stuffing. I personally am not. I think if you were to make this project bigger, if you were somebody who likes to make cuddle-sized objects or wanted to make this cuddle-sized or pillow-sized, you definitely want to stuff it because it would be larger. But at the small size I am making, I don't find it necessary, but I might change my mind here in a minute once we get about done with it. So we'll go all the way around, a single stitch in every stitch. So as you can see, we kind of have a nice round shape for the cherry. And now we are going to reduce. So pull through the first one, pull through the second one, make a single stitch, then I'm actually, I will do a single stitch, then pull through, then pull through, then a single stitch, then reduce 2 stitches into 1, then a single stitch because I do want to do 2 rows of this, so that's why I added that. Then 2 stitches into 1, then a single stitch. And you know what? Do I change my mind? Do I put a little, you know what? I am gonna put like the smallest amount of stuffing in this. I had this awkward amount of Feels Like Bliss yarn left, and this is absolutely perfect to shove into here. So for this piece, I definitely recommend that. If you have some awkward amount of yarn, don't know what to do with it, don't want to throw it away, here we go. Shove it in there and make it nice and rounded, and because of the color, kind of keep it true, and then you don't really have to worry about stuffing coming out. And we will go ahead and do one more round of reducing. Put a little too much yarn in there, but that's okay. And we're going to reduce 2 stitches into 1, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we got right there, go to the next one, while fighting through the yarn I used to stuff it, reduce 2 stitches into 1, and then one last time of reduce 2 stitches into 1, and then we're going to cut our yarn, pull the yarn through, keep the loose yarn. Kind of almost looks like a little strawberry actually. That, you know what, maybe we'll make it a strawberry, because the tufts kind of make it look strawberry-esque. Look at that. And then you are going to want to weave it shut here. Basically just weave her shut. And you know what? I am going to make this a strawberry after all. I was originally going to go for a cherry, but I'm going to add some green to it. So we will weave into here. Go ahead and put it on, because if you want to make yours a cherry, you can actually make yours whatever fruit your heart desires. But because of the yarn poking through, I thought that was perfect for a strawberry, you know. Ideas just come as you work. So I'm gonna add green to the back, but if you just want to do cherry, you'll want to add it wherever your heart desires. I also have a little bit of scrap green yarn, so I'm going to cover up this little tuft that's sticking out, and I'm just gonna embroider on the greenery for the strawberry. Like I said, this is optional, but we'll kind of go around and kind of do like an X-like thing. So it looks like a top of a strawberry. And you are done. Once you add the strawberry, I just did a little X for it. And yes, my boyfriend said he doesn't look like a cupcake, that the frosting should be bigger, but you know what? I don't care. I'm calling him a little cupcake. And there he is. I think it turned out really cute, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, you should definitely subscribe, follow my Instagram, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!